Good morning, good afternoon. We are live-ish. I always say live-ish because y'all know it takes a couple seconds to get everything connected and acting right. Instagram, I can see, is already thinking about it. Let's see, LinkedIn also thinking about it, and we'll get it together sooner than later. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and hit the button for LinkedIn so it can get started. Um, so LinkedIn is acting a little wonky, but that's all right. And Facebook is live, but no one can see it but me. I mean, I just every single week we have to do this. All right.
It's okay. It's tech and we love it.
I love tech. I just don't love this tech. And which is crazy is that's the whole point of my business is tech. And I still can't get this stuff to act right every single time. But that's all right. Restream and I are gonna have a conversation one of these days. So Instagram will connect and act right sooner than later. And so I've hit the button a couple times. We'll see what happens. Either way, my name is Tanisha Stallnaker, and I am the CEO of SVS. We are your go-to for systems, automation, and tech. Just a bunch of chicks that love tech and buttons. And we are live. It is Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Yes.
Tuesday. Yes.
July 2nd, 2024. And we're going to have some fun today. I am super excited. I always give like real life, disclaimers because the whole reason it's Entrepreneurs Unplugged is because real life is still going to happen in the background. So normally the dog's out, the kid's busy, the husband's not home. Today, everybody's home. You could hear drilling because I think he's going to put some blinds up soon. You might hear dogs barking, but it's okay because I put on a tiny bit of makeup, I've showered, and we're going to go. So
Please.
whatever happens, happens. That being said, I'm so happy to have Coach Rocky with us today. I think we're going to have fun, maybe cut up a tiny bit here and there, but either way, we're all going to learn, have fun. Yeah, you already dancing. I dare you to stand up and dance. Anyway,
Oh, Petsy.
but before we get into the antics and shenanigans, please introduce yourself to the people.
What's up, y'all? I am Jeanille Rockett, but everyone calls me Coach Rocky. I am a business growth and marketing strategist as well as an AI expert. Okay. Yes. I help my clients with content, conversations, and conversions. And we do that all online. I love helping my clients win online. I love helping them remove the lies, labels, and limitations that they put on themselves that stop them from showing up and showing out. I've been in business for probably about 9 years now, and I've been in the online space since 2020. So I'm super excited. I am the owner of the Conquer Your Ish brand. Yes, it's mine. I just want to point that out there. It's mine, Conquer Your Ish. And I'm just excited to be on this conversation today. And she started off being very petty because I told her if from the waist down, I'm not properly dressed, and I could dance like this. And Tanisha came on here and talking about, well, stand up and dance. I just wanted to say that's how the conversation is going to go today.
Yes. We're going to get these views up.
Something's going to be up if I stand up.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. I love it. I always tell people and just kind of explain the whole reason that I started this is because a couple of things. One, if anybody knows me individually in lives ain't friends. I would go live for a hot 36 seconds. And by the first eyeball that pops up, I've already finished what I was going to say, ended it, moved on. But I like having conversations. I like having real conversations with real people because a lot of times, especially I've been in business 5.5 years, and especially during the pandemic, it was full of just perfection. Everything is perfect. And we have these perfect launches and we do this. And if you do it the same way that I do it, you're going to have a 6-figure business in 10 days and everything's going to be amazing. And that's all I ever heard. It was perfect makeup, perfect hair, perfect everything. And then here I am sitting in sweatpants, and having hot flashes and stuff. And it was like, well, what version of business are you doing? Because it's different over in this seat. And so for the longest time, it was like, well, what the hell am I doing wrong? And so as I started to get to know more people and I'm having real conversations, I'm like, all right, well, how about we give people like the real shit, not like the perfect shit, because that's just not how life works, at least not over here. And so I wanted to make sure that I could talk to real people, primarily women in business, about different topics. Everybody picks kind of their own topic, and we just have real conversations and whatever the real life is. Last week Angela was on, and her baby was there with us because that was her real life that day. So between the kids, the dogs, the husbands, and all the life and everything that happens, that's why we're here. So my question that I always ask is, you picked success stories and lessons learned and things like that. So why that topic?
I've
Okay. So it like completely just disconnected. But the funny thing is, I think we're still live.
We are still live. I just pulled it up.
Listen, like I said, we are Entrepreneurs Unplugged, and for at least 37 seconds to a minute, we were Entrepreneurs Disconnected, because this is, so it's gonna be one of those.
I was like, I don't know what's going on, but it is what it is. Okay, so the question was, why did I pick the topic, right? And so I picked the topic that I picked because I've been in business for about 9 years, and I've done pretty much every strategy. And I've tried every strategy. I've put out every method, model, whatever you can think of, I've done it. And so I do believe a lot of people look to me as, I don't want to say like they look up to me, but they see me as an authentic person online. And I wanted to be able to share my experiences. I've also had several kinds of businesses: Airbnb, Turo, cleaning company. I've been, of course, a consultant and a coach for as long as I can think of. I've been on sets of music videos. Like, I've done so much. And so I felt like this would
Wait
be,
a minute. Which means sets of music videos.
I have been behind the scenes of music videos. Like,
Okay. I was about
not
to say,
on set, like dancing in the video girl. Nope, that was never my thing. But I've definitely been a part of the process of like creating, like the creative direction behind videos and things like that. And so being in this place, I was like, that is the perfect conversation, because if someone has a question on how that type of business worked and why it didn't work, or that model didn't work, I probably could answer that question for you. So that's why I chose that topic.
I love it. And of course, I was literally just ready to nickname you Video Vixen Rocky, but okay. So now, um, so with all of those different industries, those were all your different entrepreneurial projects and journeys.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And
I
I
was
love,
on the bakery.
really?
Yes, it's a seasonal bakery. I still do own. I only do it limited. You have to basically get your orders in 3 to 4 months in advance. And I'm only open from October to February.
What are you baking?
So pies, cakes, I can do birthday cakes, like actual designs. I do candy, strawberries. You want them dipped fruit, all kinds of stuff.
Ooh. All right, mental note. Mental note. I'm in my big back era of life, and
Girl, listen, I'm in my get my booty fat era. So
if I can get my ab to butt ratio right,
I'm going to focus more on my butt than my abs.
no. What I'm saying is, I believe. So, side note, I've taught dance fitness for 12 years, and yes, Lou Jack, we've gone left already. If I could get my ab to butt ratio right, meaning my stomach might not get bigger, might get smaller, but if my bottom got bigger, the
Ooh,
ratio is still right.
yeah,
But, as my husband and I have discussed, it's probably never going to happen because the world knows that I wouldn't behave.
that's true.
It'd be
But
this business would have
that's
gone left. We would be doing tech. It'd be OnlyFans. It just, they know I ain't gonna act right. So it's fine. So tech it is. We're doing tech.
content it is. Okay, got it.
So how do you define success?
This is a really great question, because someone asked me this question probably 2 weeks ago and it made me think. And so now I'm in a place where I don't have to think as long. But I really define success as not giving up on your purpose and continuously going through the motions, continuously learning from your mistakes, continuously learning from your failures, and really just pushing forward until you get to that moment where you're like, this is it. That's how I define success. And I think a lot of times we're looking for a unrealistic version of success. That's why we always keep going after the next thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what success looks like for me.
I like it. It's like, oh, I am successful after all. I think,
You are.
and it's funny, I think for someone like you that has been an entrepreneur for a very long time and an entrepreneur in different industries, like I've worked in various industries, but entrepreneurship was not something that was a natural thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
It happened later. And so I was used to identifying success by metrics.
Performance metrics.
And so, it was goals, performance metrics, and raises. Quite frankly, the biggest measure of success for me was getting me to making more money than I did the year before. And not just from that 2% raise, but the performance justifying a jump. And so having over at least 2 decades of that being the measure of success, and then deciding to go into entrepreneurship.
Can I tell you a secret?
Please.
I didn't leave corporate until October of this past year.
Really? That is a blessing. I didn't necessarily vote to leave. I got laid off.
Yeah, they laid me off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm that person who could manage a corporate job, and still run my businesses effectively. Yeah. And so I too come from where you are, which I think also helped me in entrepreneurship, is putting those KPIs, key performance indicators, in place to let me know that I was being successful, but I overdid it.
Yeah.
And so I got too numbers driven. I got too systems driven. I got too everything driven, and forgot to really think about what it was for me to be successful. And so I think detaching that identity and creating my own identity and what success looks like for me has made 2024 a lot different for me in business. Way more happier, feel a lot more with the freedom side of things.
Yeah.
And I might not be making as much money as I made this time last year, but I'm just in a better space mentally because I got to redefine what success looks like.
And I love that for you.
Thank you.
No, I get it, because it's definitely been a challenging year, especially for me being definitely systems driven. Not so much KPIs and I think that's the difference is like, again, I've always been so big picture driven.
Mm-hmm.
That for me, the success has been a harder one to mark because I tend to look over the smaller wins. I tend to skip past them. And it's like, somebody normally is the one that points it out, like, oh, you've done this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. And then I'm still looking over here. And I think a lot of people are that way. And in business, it's hard, but in entrepreneurship, it's even harder to have a lens that's so busy looking 10 steps ahead that you never look at where you're standing that moment, that it becomes really difficult to actually open your eyes and see the success part. Just like, listening to you, thinking about, I've actually tapped into the flexibility and freedom side of things, especially just because summer is a really busy time for us personally. And, my husband's saying, hey, if you were locked in and working 12 hours a day, we wouldn't be able to support our daughter and do different things this way. So your flexibility and your business being the way it is allows us to do these things too. And that is a successful thing because that's what's important to us. But again, I have to have somebody say it out loud a couple times a week before I'm like, I've somehow accidentally become a housewife, you know? And so,
and I'm like, housewife me, please. I would love to cook and clean and rub your feet, Papa. Come on now. Tell me about your day.
Listen, when
Come on your mama chest.
Listen, look, I'm gonna go live and attempt to rub my husband's feet afterwards and see how this goes. Y'all wish me luck.
Look, I'm in that era where I've done so. I'll share this because we're talking about success, right? Success for me, where I'm leading into, would be to be with a man who has a business and to be able to use my genius inside of his business to amplify it. And we be a team.
Mhm.
And if he wants me to be full-time in the business, that's great. But if he wants me to just be a partner where he can talk to me about different things, I give him strategies as I'm serving him, a 7-Up bundt cake and cooking these 7-course meals that I absolutely do love to cook. And then, listen, we have more babies. I would love to do that. That is what
Cake and strategies.
Do you hear me? Cake and strategies. That is what success is starting to look like for me as I'm planning what it looks like. I no longer like objectify or even like love busy.
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore because we get so caught up in it, and we get so caught up in even just being dynamic multitaskers.
Yeah.
And so what I've learned, even from running several businesses at one time, is that it sort of was like a trauma mechanism or a trauma response for me. And I had to let go of the idea of just being busy for the sake of it and checking another box for success. And so
most of us, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying it's important to do that.
I was going to say that for a lot of women, and I would venture not to assume for everybody, but for a lot of us, women of color, just generationally, our success as Black women has been measured by our level of busy, by the fact that we are successful because we can have man or not man, the husband being an optional thing, but we have the kids, and we, maybe go to church, and then we work 2 jobs, and we cook and we clean, and we can bake on the side, and we can babysit, and we can help our friends, and we can sew, and we can dance, and we can do all the things, and we always smile, and we're always happy. And even if we're not smiling and happy, we're still cranking it out, and we're just busy. And that's a good woman right there. That's a successful Black woman right there, a successful woman there. And the idea that generationally we have to like basically work ourselves to the bone to be deemed as a success.
Oof. And I don't want that. I love that my skin glows. I love that I get enough rest at night. I love that I don't have bags under my eyes. I don't want that life. I want freedom, because with a level of freedom comes ease. And with ease comes flow. And I love flowing. And so I think as women, it's even as Black women, I think we get so caught up, like you said, in just the next thing and checking off our list that we forget that we're on the list and we have to take care of us. And what does that look like? And to be honest with you, I know this conversation is derailing a little bit, y'all. I apologize, but I have no desire to not be with a man. I need a man. I know that is sometimes a taboo conversation to say, oh, you need a man. Yeah, I absolutely do need a man. I need the man that God has for me. We're not meant to be alone. Yes, God will put us in seasons where we have to be in isolation, but there's things we're learning in isolation. There's things that we're developing and pruning in isolation. But for us to say, oh, I don't need a man, I'm a boss bee, I can do it all by myself, I like a woman on her own. I don't want to be on my own.
Well, I think what we can do and what we want to do don't always have to be the same thing. Yeah, all of us can do it, but I
don't want it.
Yeah, and that's fine. And the same way that you don't want it, there's going to be some people that are like, no, leave me alone.
Leave me alone. And that's perfectly fine.
Both are right answers. As long as it works for you.
As long as it works.
You know, for you and your season of life and your business. I am working very hard to be more forgiving of myself, mainly on the business side, because that's the entrepreneurhood is the hood I've spent at least amount of my time of life in, and it's a real ghetto hood over there. But
adulthood.
Yeah, I don't know. When I look at adulthood or entrepreneurship hood, which one is the hardest? And doing them both at the same time is just hot garbage sometimes.
It's like being in the Bloods and the Crips at the same time.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. So I know that most people that I've talked to since I started doing this series this year, I think things do happen for a reason. I think it's very interesting that while I have been anti-live and avoiding live for 4 years, and now this year I've gone live, and this year is just so different than the last few years. And, you know, the plus for you and many people that I talked to, you started your business pre-COVID ever being a word.
Yep.
Then you have somebody like me that decided to start the business a few months before, and then COVID came and shut everything down and changed and all of that stuff. So I know COVID business, you know, and now I feel like we're probably going into what it might have been like before COVID was a thing. And so for businesses like mine, the adjustment's even harder, making the success stories even harder to recognize. The lessons are there. You know, I used to joke, I was like, every year I learn a big lesson and I'm over it. I'm like, can I have a year, like a lesson-free year? The answer is no.
No.
The answer is this year's hell no. But, you know, I guess being that you've had different businesses, different wins, different lessons, how do you keep yourself focused, especially if you've been that success is attached to busy type of person? How do you keep yourself focused where you're not like, man, let me go ahead and get this OnlyFans account boosted up?
Oh, I've had those thoughts too, y'all. Let me say, I stay focused. First, you have to develop a system for yourself, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And you know systems. So when I speak about systems for your internal, you need an internal system. And so I stay grounded, you know, spiritually by staying in scripture, you know, reading my sermons, praying, meditating, fasting. That's how I keep myself focused there. Mentally and emotionally, I see a therapist. I actually see two therapists. They're a husband and a wife, and they see me for different things, because where she might help me in one area, he helps me in another. And I love that they offer that type of therapy. And so I see a therapist. I also have someone who helps me on the spiritual coaching side, you know, working with a pastor in that relationship. Those things help keep me grounded. And what keeps me focused is my why. My why isn't my daughter. I have a 13-year-old. She'll be 14 in December. A lot of times we make our whys about our kids, our husbands, sometimes our dogs. But my why is for the little girl that struggled as a child to make, you know, to feel like a part of her family, to feel like she mattered, to feel like she had a voice. My why is that little girl. And that's what keeps me focused, because when she's happy, when she is feeling good, I know I'm in my purpose. I know that I'm serving my best. But when she starts to feel like she's lacking in any kind of way, I know I have to do something to get refocused. And so I no longer make my why my kid, you know, or my family, because what if something happens to them?
Yeah.
Then that why disappears. Now I have to reestablish the why. But I find that by working with my little girl, I'm healing in the process. And I'm also helping other people's heal in a way that they need to as well. So that's what keeps me focused. And I would challenge you to ask yourself, what is keeping you focused? And if it's taken away, will you still be focused?
And that is a question that I wouldn't be able to answer today, because I think I've fallen into the why being family and everything. And I, but the second you said it, I already knew why you focus your why on your inner child and your inner self, because to the point of, if the thing that's your why today is no longer there tomorrow, then what's your focus? I think that, again, though, it goes back to the challenge of how we've been groomed and bred,
Mm-hmm.
that, being selfish, you know, is a bad thing, even if it's for, it's like, somebody said something about self-care. And I was like, if I could be honest, I just turned 48 this year, and I have not heard self-care more than I have in the last couple of years. So unfortunately, I got like multiple decades of never hearing that term.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did hear it, it wasn't related to anybody that looked like me.
Period.
It was like basically vegetarians and hippies that ever talked about it. It wasn't like real life. It was stuff on TV. And so, you know, I think it's amazing that all of us are kind of coming together to realize it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to take care of ourselves, especially as entrepreneurs, because if we're not good, the business is never going to be
Mm-mm.
okay. You might luck up and have some quick wins early in, but at some point, the lack of you being good is going to come through. And
It'll catch up to you.
um, but I love the refocus in finding some internal why. And I also love that you have so many different types of support. I'm not I'm not religious at all. And I'm probably not the biggest spiritual person either. But I still have respect for anybody that is, because if that's what drives you and keeps you lifted, then I love it. But I like the fact that you are touching different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And making sure that it's not just mental, it's not just spiritual, it's the holistic as possible view of support that you have. I know, again, and I've talked about this a couple weeks ago, I tend to be a bit of I'm not going to say isolation, but that at the same time was also the running joke during the pandemic, where they were like, when nothing like finding out that your normal life was called quarantine, because I was kind of living that way long before COVID.
Right. Some
And
of us were, and people don't believe it, but I'm an introvert. I
oh my,
I
love being inside.
charge at home.
I love being inside. You know,
It's hot out there.
yeah, cancel plans on me. It's okay. I probably was trying to get dressed anyway.
Hercules.
I waited to the last minute to put the clothes on anyway. So please,
Anyway,
it's fine. But with a personality like mine, it is not second nature to reach out for support someplace else.
mm-hmm.
I'm finding that as I go further in business, though, it is harder to self-motivate, because, in the beginning, everything's fun and exciting. And there's, all these different things. But as you start getting into year 4, 5, 6, 7, it's definitely more challenging, because the growth isn't going to feel as quick. Um, what worked 2 years ago isn't probably going to work today, at least some of the marketing strategies, because as technology changes, as trends change, as the market changes, it's a constant evolution. And so, this year is definitely one of those things on my list of finding what's that support look like for me. I don't necessarily need it to be therapy, but, finding kind of like my people, the people that are going to be honest and say, you need to get your shit together
mm-hmm.
and get back in the game.
And I put a big focus too on physical this year, which
Mm-hmm.
I've always worked out. I've always, done the physical, but I am leaning more into things that make me happy physically. So one of the things that I started like a few weeks ago is pole dancing classes.
Right.
And it's so hard, y'all.
Yeah. Oh no, it's hard. The bruises are terrible.
I have bruises in weird places that I didn't even think I could. But that was something I wanted to do, getting into that. And then I wanted to get another machine for my at-home gym and really start to focus on what I want to focus on. And it's so crazy. It's making me happier to do the things that I want to do, because I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah.
Everybody can have what they want right before, like before me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I check in with me. I say, am I okay with this? Does this align with me? Is this going to stretch me too hard? Is this going to challenge me in a good way? Or is this going to put me in a place where I'm going to be second guessing and regret it later?
Um, the ability to say no is its own superpower. And it definitely took me a while. But by the time I hit my 30s, my no started to get pretty good pretty quickly. By the time I hit my 40s, I was already like at Olympic level, and now I'm like a
Mhm.
medalist, where the no almost comes out before the question is finished. Where it's like I can already tell this is something I don't want to do, because I've also learned that when I force it, it's 10 times worse than if I had just said no.
Mhm.
And, thinking in the terms of like success, that's another challenge sometimes, because it's not a thing of just the childish way of saying, I don't want to do what I don't want to do. Partly true. But looking at the strategies and methods that other entrepreneurs have decided to deploy for their business, and knowing that those methods absolutely make my skin crawl.
Don't want to do it.
And so then it's like, all right, but that's what made them successful.
Mhm.
And how do I figure out what's that thing that doesn't make my skin crawl, but also makes me successful? That's where I'm sitting in 2024, is figuring that out. Like, I can look at other people, and I do watch, and it's not like in an envy type of way. It's like, hey, listen, if being the Pied Piper of social media made you a millionaire, good for you.
Yeah.
Here's hoping that you actually told people the truth, while you were singing that song. But no matter what, it's like, it's not my job to be in your wallet to see, did you deserve this
Okay.
success, and what all happened behind the scenes. But it's like, you're successful. You've grown an audience, you made money, whatever you deemed as successful, you've gotten there. That's awesome, and I love it for you. But I don't want to go that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've done so let me give you just a recap. Coming into the coaching and consulting space, I've done live launching. I've done webinars where, it just plays and they send the leads to me. I've done weekly workshops, bi-weekly workshops, monthly workshops. I've ran ads. I have gone to networking events. I've done conferences. I've spoken on stages. I've done everything. And let me tell you what it led to: burnout and hating my purpose.
Yeah.
And so now when I look at other people and I see like what they have going on, and I'm like, dang, they're doing really good. They seem really successful at that. I have to check in with me and say, now hold on, homegirl. Would you even want to do that? Or
Yeah.
would you want to show up in that way? No, I don't. I don't want to do it. I've been on several different platforms. I've been on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. When I said earlier in this live that I would try something at least once, I've done it. If you can think of a strategy, I've probably done it, as long as it was the right strategy and operated in integrity, because there's some things that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've done it. And what I tell you, I don't like live launching. It's just not organically fits me. I don't like the show and I don't like the dance and singing type of classes. I want to teach. I want to teach you because I feel like that's where my spiritual gift lies. So if you don't want to be taught, then it doesn't work for me. I've had closers call people and try to get sales calls booked for me. I've done all of it. And you know what really works? What success truly worked and felt good for me? It's just being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
understanding that I'm an expert and I know my ish, and dominating as an authority and just showing up.
Yeah.
I have systems in place. I have things in place for me. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling nobody not to have systems and at least a simple funnel in place. But all the extra stuff,
Yeah.
that stressed me out. And I do better. And I've had more success just being where I'm at right now. And so don't look to your left or to your right, look straight forward. And it doesn't matter if you're spiritual, religious, or not. Keep your eyes on the prize. And what is that prize for you? and keep your eyes there, and don't look to that person or look to this person, because you'll become distracted. Figure out what really works for you. I no longer do master classes every month. I used to do a master class every month. Now I might do 1 or 2 a quarter, and that works for me. I do a lot more lead generation, connecting with people, having conversations with people. That works for me.
Yeah, that tends to be what works best for me, is just normal, natural conversation. There's more work in it because you're not talking to mass numbers of people, but it's a stronger connection where I actually remember your name. You remember my name.
I remember what your kids got going on. And I reached out to a client. She was going through some issues with, well, she's not a client, but I reached out to her, and she was having some issues with her daughter. And I just reached out and checked in about her daughter. And she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah.
That's because I'm building a community and real connections with people, versus trying to get 100 people into a masterclass or a workshop and sell you something.
Yeah.
Even in my masterclasses, I don't hard pitch anymore. I say, listen, y'all, we're done with the masterclass. You know if you want to work with me or not. You know there are ways that you can work with me. I have access points anywhere from 1,000 to 12,000. And then, of course, I have 25K offers. So you know how to work with me. If you want to work further, let's chat in the DMs. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Ease, flow. That's what people deserve to have. That's what true success looks like. And that's part of the lessons that I've learned, is that I don't like having to put together that like slideshows and putting these complex funnels together. And it wasn't that I didn't like to do it. I didn't even like hiring people to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've learned some of that this year, where we did some more detailed funnels, and it was like, this doesn't feel good either. You know, it's literally been the people to people connection that has been the winner for me. Does that make certain things harder to scale to a degree?
Absolutely.
Yes. Because if I'm the end all be all salesperson that's going to attract or, detract people, it puts more now. And I have people that are going to do implementation and all of that stuff. That's great. But it's definitely been a challenge to replicate that, because that whole nobody can be youer than you thing comes into play. But for me, if I look in the details of success, where I've absolutely been the most successful when it comes to connecting and growing and marketing, is when I just show up as myself. Maybe not outwardly show up, but I mean like behind the scenes. Like, because people are like, LinkedIn doesn't work. I was like, LinkedIn's great. I just do most of my stuff in the DMs in LinkedIn. Not so much Facebook DMs, but LinkedIn DMs just feel like a more natural thing. It's almost like people expect it. So
they do.
If you're there, you're either looking for something, advertising something, like everybody's selling something, everybody needs something, Yep. And so it's a more natural thing for me to hit the DMs over there than it would be for Facebook, where I might have just talked some trash about something. And it's probably where you see me being absolutely me, maybe not so much business me, but there's a balance there too. But I say all that to say is that I think it's cool to acknowledge where you're going to be the most successful, or not just feel successful. It's like, I connected to 10 people here and they all responded. We're all having conversations. We're all starting something, versus I think I did one live launch, and I went into it like I bought a program that literally follow these 10 steps and use all my tools, and it's going to be amazing. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to follow all the steps, and I'm going to say it exactly the way they told me to say it. And I'm going to go live when they told me to go live. And I'm going to put a story over here because they told me to, and I did all of the stuff. And when I tell you the level of nobody that showed up.
Yeah. Cause you just it wasn't you.
No, at all. And so I was like, mental note, lesson learned. Check that off the box, because through the whole period, I was just like, this is like stressful and terrible, and this doesn't even sound like anything that I'd say, and it's just like, ugh. And and it even had that whole, like, it wasn't like the hey girl, hey messaging, but it was like, hey sis. It was supposed to be supernatural, and I was like, it just wasn't. And so I've tried that. Absolutely, very much authentic. I have tried some group things. Somebody approached me about doing webinars, and then again, it was like, to talk about what though?
I've had a group coaching program. I've had memberships, and what's so crazy, the only membership I feel is authentic is my AI community. Like, that's probably the only one that I've been able to just sustain, because
Yeah.
that is me, right? And I've done group coaching, I've done all of it. And I really don't want to have a group coaching program. I love working intimately with my clients. I love working one-on-one with them. I love that they can send me a text on my business phone and say, hey, I'm having a business struggle today.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that with a group coaching program. I would be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so finding that authentic place where you thrive best, it leads to more success.
Agreed. Agreed. And the education piece, I'm definitely finding is a more natural thing, because I think that I tend to talk in education with my clients now, anyway, even when they come to me saying, I need a website. Once I start looking under the hood of your business, it's like, I know you only asked for me to look at this over here, but since we're sitting here, can I point out that this over here could be tweaked, and let me show you the ways, and let me show you why and why it's important. Now that I've given you the information, if you want us to fix it, great. If not, great. But at least I've let you know.
I've done my due diligence.
Yes, I've given you the information. I've given you the why. I've proven that I'm not just saying it just to talk and say words. But what you do with this information at this point is totally up to you. And let me go back to what you are hiring us to focus on. So there is a natural level of education. It's just a matter of figuring out, how do I want to deliver it, and what's most authentic as far as energy.
Absolutely.
Because unfortunately, and fortunately, and Leonard, you go ahead and keep your comment to yourself. This face hides nothing.
Oh yeah, me too.
So I'm super careful about what I say yes to when it comes to my business, because if I'm not feeling it, I can't hide it at all. I can't fake it. I can't pretend it. Like, there's no fake it button in this body.
You're going to catch all of this.
Yeah.
My body will tense up. My shoulders do something weird. And, when I'm at my best, I'm just more relaxed. I'm glowing different. And I can't work with people who take that away from me.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Big facts. It doesn't feel fun.
Oh, it's absolutely not fun.
And I'm getting too old to be doing this and not enjoying some of it, or at least most of it. Quite frankly, it's my own business. I should enjoy most of it. And even when things are hard and stressful, I shouldn't be in any situation where when I walk in, I'm like, well, damn. So.
Right? It's like, here's what I look at. I'm too grown at this big age to just be doing stuff that just not making me happy no more. Yeah. And there are things that are meant to challenge me. There are some uncomfortable things, but to genuinely just do things that robs me of my joy, I'm not doing that anymore. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned in 9 years. If it robs you of your joy, do not do it.
Yeah. Like I said, I absolutely agree. I feel you, literally. I think that, like, when I say the challenge of this year is, I'm definitely not like going to be like, oh, I'm in my soft girl era, because that's not me, but I'm in the era of, if it doesn't feel good, I don't want to do it. But at the same time, I'm coming out of being in the era of, but did I make more money though? And so it's a little bit of a clash there of the.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna work it out.
I've been there. And for anybody, we all get there. And I will be very honest, and I'll say this. I made way more money in my business last year than I've made so far this year.
Same.
But I'm happier. I don't want no one to miss this point. I am happier because I'm not doing things that just aren't in alignment with me anymore. Like, I am where I'm going now, the money is there. I just had to get out of the place that I was, because here's what, and I know you're not very spiritual or religious, but I always take things back to what I know. All right. And here's the thing, just like what God knows is best for you, the devil also knows how to use distractions to use that to show like it's best for you too. So even though I made the most money I've ever made in my business last year, that sort of was like a mask to a lot of problems that I was covering up, a lot of issues that I wasn't addressing. And this year has made me address those issues, remove that mask, and really like hone in on it and tackle it. And so, yeah, I might not have made as much money, but I found so much more peace and in just authentic alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing, that now I'm starting to see increases, because that's where I'm supposed to be at. And so don't get discouraged because things aren't looking the same way or things aren't doing what it's supposed to do. Don't get discouraged. If anything, you're on the right track. And I just want to remind you and anybody else of that. You're on the right track, because you picked up a lot of weight along the way. Not physically, y'all. Not physically. I don't want nobody to think I'm calling them fat. Okay.
You saw my post. Carry on. Whatever.
But we picked up a lot of weight
Yeah.
along the way. And it's so important for us to trim the fat now. And some of us are in trim the fat seasons and it doesn't feel good because it's hot as heck outside.
Yep.
And you don't want to have to sweat as hard as you are. But I promise you something big is about to happen, because you're in a season of trimming the fat and you're allowing it to happen. And I love that for anyone who's going through that, because I'm going through it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going through it. Last year was the biggest year for my business as well. And, but I also, if I'm being completely blunt honest, while on paper it was the best year with money, it was the hardest year emotionally, and burnout was hard. And I went through a loss and grief and burnout and disappointment, and literally like the end of some business friendships that I'd held really closely, which is another reason why I went back inward. You know, all of those things happened in that same year, where it was like, do I have the energy to keep having years like this just to be able to make more money? The answer being no. And then, you know, this year has come. And so there is a realization of, am I genuinely like unhappy this year? No. Am I burnout this year? No. Am I making as much money? Absolutely not. Does it cause a stress? Yes, only because I do carry a certain level of responsibility as far as doing my part, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's also forced me to be very open with my husband. To say, you know, because me, I'm like, let me go get a little side job so that I can still take care of things and nobody else.
Listen,
you know,
Instacart be looking real good because I like to go to the store, y'all. I like to look.
Listen, I can't do Instacart. I'm the one hiring Instacart. How I look hiring Instacart and then going in the store and buying somebody else's stuff.
Listen, I'll go pick up my own groceries at this point. Pay me. Shoot.
Ooh. Look, don't give me no ideas. I was like, this is, it's gonna be a little something. But it was one of those things where the hustle in me is used to, let me go out and find something else. And then it came to a conversation of, why do you need to do that? It's a partnership.
Yep.
So it's kind of uncovered its own personal success story, where it's like, I am not in this by myself. I'm not sitting on an island inside of my house that no one else can get to. And so for me, the lesson this year is learning to wave the flag when I need to wave the flag, but readjust how things have laid out in my household and everything, and understanding that even if I'm not, you know, because I went from being the breadwinner until I started a business. And it's a very hard thing to let go of, because that was an identity for me. And now it's flipped. And as my husband reminded me, he was like, you didn't throw it in my face when you were the breadwinner. Why would I throw it in my face now, or throw it in your face now? And so adjusting how I value myself is the work this year, and the lesson for me. And so while yes, Rocky and I have gone left, right, and up and down through this conversation. And
it's been good. It's been good. They needed it.
I mean, it's good because I want to have like real life conversations, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stress how many people that when I talk to them, when the live is off and off camera, how many of us are definitely in a weird, hard transition.
Yeah.
Here. And most of the transitions in here and here, but it's what's going to be the thing that propels our business. And so I've just decided to embrace this transition as much as I despise it from time to time. Like in my soul, I despise it.
Listen, that's how I was. I was like, so this what we doing, God? This what we doing? And now I'm just like, I'm starting to see it, and I'm starting to understand what I was missing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, even. And it just starts to make sense.
Yeah.
And I know it's gonna get better. Like when I think back to why I chose this topic, I just wanted to remind people that success looks different for everybody at different seasons, at different moments of your life, your business. Success is just different. Yeah. There's never a true loss. It's always a lesson. And that is probably the biggest thing that I've learned with almost 9 years in business. And then since being in the online space since 2020, because I came in the online space at the end of 2020 because traditional business didn't look the same because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so I want to remind you guys of that. Stick to who you are, be an authority, pop your ish, and stop playing.
I can't even add anything to it because I genuinely feel like she was just saying that to me, and the rest of y'all just got to listen. So
because I feel you. I feel you. I see you. You know, I see you. I see you. And I have to just say it like I see you. And I know, like, I can feel it. But I want you to know I see you, and everything is going to make sense. And I know you know that, but it's going to make sense. Like, I feel like I need to say that. And then I also need to say that I'm genuinely just proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I need to say it to myself more and more, but still, I appreciate somebody else saying it. So,
yeah.
Thank you. We got this. We got this.
We ain't got no choice. We're live. We're kicking.
We don't have no choice at all.
Listen, one of my major life goals is to die empty.
Give it all up, huh?
Give it all up. Dreams, I'm doing it. I'm accomplishing them. Goals, I'm hitting it. Ideas, let's go. I'm going to die empty. Promises, I'm hitting them. I'm not going to go to my grave full of what could have been. I refuse. So that is part of what drives me. And I know we're way over time. I had a very significant health scare in 2020, which reminded me of that. And so I go hard because of it. I'm not going to die with hopes and dreams and visions that I've never even tried to attempt or go after. So yeah, that's big picture for me.
Well, let's go then. So, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and launch that OnlyFans account and just go ahead and check that out.
Feet Finder is a great place to go to launch your Feet Finder account. Do that.
Oh yeah, because it wasn't gonna be nothing but joints and feet.
Yeah, you can totally sell your feet pictures. I know we are off topic again, but you could totally. I have ugly feet. Everybody be like, "You so pretty." Don't look at my feet. I have my daddy's feet, and I'm okay with that. Completely okay with that. But let me tell y'all something. Feet Finder, you can go into the ugly feet niche, and baby, make some money. I may or may not know what I'm talking about.
I may or may not check it out later today. That's fine. I don't even know how to close that one out. Feetfinder.com, y'all. But Make sure to catch us on the replays. If you are not subscribed to YouTube, please go to Work with SVS on YouTube. We are on all socials other than X. And where can people find you, Coach Rocky?
Well, I live and play on Facebook. You can look me up as Jeanille Rockett. I am also on Instagram, but my Instagram is under construction. We are actually changing my niche on Instagram. So all of my posts have been deleted and we're under construction. I'm also on LinkedIn, but you can go to rockyourcontentacademy.com to check out what I offer and what I got going on. But Facebook is where I'm at.
Yes, and it's very fun over on Facebook. So the work and play is real. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you not just for being here, but for us going over and just kind of going with the flow. So I thank you. I truly thank you because you've definitely been on my list. I had like a hit list. And so it made me, do a little dance on the inside when you said yes. So,
Absolutely. I'm so honored. Like, I'm honored because I get to be in front of your audience. So I'm super honored. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for another episode of Entrepreneurs Unplugged. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing summer and stay cool because it's hot.